All right, welcome everyone. I am Kathy Fettke here with Fred Bates, and we're excited to give an update on our project in Klamath Falls. We have a tour coming up. I know a lot of you are planning on joining us for that tour, and there's a lot of new people joining us today. I think it was like 100 new people, so welcome. We're going to be repeating some of the information and then giving first giving updates on the progress. This is open for new investment now, and we had the first sort of tranche come in, and we met the minimum, and Fred's been off and working, getting it started, and I'm excited to hear the updates there. So welcome, Fred.
Thank you. We're in the ground up there. That's what counts.
Yeah, and so ahead of schedule compared to normal. It usually takes years to get to this point.
Well, in this case, we're buying finished lots, so it's a lot easier than going ahead and titling, getting a map, going out, building the lots, and finally 2 years after you start, you're finally start going in the ground. But we're in the ground. We're digging foundations as we speak.
Awesome. Okay. And this is a disclaimer for those of you new. This presentation is not an offer or solicitation of an offer to purchase securities. The offer is only made through the private placement memorandum, which you can find at growdevelopments.com. And of course, the strategies mentioned in the presentation may not be appropriate for everyone. You do need to be accredited in order to invest in this. And everybody's situation is different. If you're looking for, a long-term cash flow project, that's not this. This is more shorter term. You're partnering with the builder basically on this one. Always consult your personal tax advisor and attorney to make sure this is right for you. And even though Fred has a 40+ year track record, past performance is no guarantee of future results, but the amount of experience here definitely helps. Okay, RidgeWater site tour. Just wanted to let you know this is filling up. Saturday, July 13th. Fred will be there. I will be there in the morning, and look forward to seeing a bunch of our investors on site. We've done a lot of tours to different projects, and it's always fun to see people. There'll be lunch afterwards, but you get to be able to. There's nothing like actually being there. A lot of people don't go to the site, and that's okay too, because it's not like right next door, but we're excited about that.
This is going to be one of the best tours ever, if nothing else, just for the visuals. I mean, whether you want to participate in this project or not, it's a great piece of property.
Wonderful. growdevelopments.com/tour is how you'll find out about that. So again, we're going to go over who Fred is, the latest progress on this particular project, and an overview for new investors, and then we'll open up to Q&A at the end. So for those of you who don't know Fred, he has over 45 years of experience in real estate development and construction, encompassing most product types in a number of markets. He's extremely creative in just deal structure and negotiations with the sellers and negotiations with the cities and all the things that are required for development. He's an engineering graduate of Michigan State University with experience in all aspects of development, including acquisition, entitlement, design, construction, and finance. And the fun part about this project is we get to go right to the end of that sentence, straight to the construction. We don't have to do the entitlement or the heavy lifting of putting in roads and utilities. All right, so we've had a long history together. We started investing, doing partnerships and syndications together with Fred and Real Wealth since 2010. A lot has changed since then, but we should have done more back then, Fred.
Right, yeah, it was a great project.
Yeah, there were a lot of incredible deals at that time. But we've continued to do them. You can see there was a bit of a break when land prices were getting ridiculously unreasonable and people overpaying, but it seems that we're back in business. There's more deals today, and that's kind of thanks. There's always the positive and the negative to higher interest rates, but one is that we're finding deals, and this is one of them. Okay, so again, Riverscape was our very first one. This was actually in 2009 that Fred first contacted me. He had been working with a broker and a friend of his who heard me on the Real Well show and knew of the show and said, this is my friend Fred has been a longtime developer. He's retired, but he's coming out of retirement because there's just too many opportunities. This one was 27 townhomes, riverfront in Oregon, in the hottest part of Oregon, in the Pearl District in Portland.
Right on the Willamette.
What was that?
Right on the Willamette River, yeah.
Right there, just the hottest part of town, biggest growth area. There was the banking collapse and the construction loan disappeared. The project went to the FDIC. The builder couldn't finish it. I love that we were able to include that original developer as sort of a partner to help us through it, because he lost the project when he lost his construction loan. And we were able to kind of keep him in a little bit to help, but also so he could see his project complete. And investors made about 22% IRR on that in the middle of the recession. All we had to do was fix out the interiors. There was a lot of challenges that came with this project, but again, Fred had the experience to get through those things.
Well, some of the challenges were the project had been sitting in the open weather, roughly framed for almost 3 years. So we had to go in and do some mitigation for mold and things like that, and then go ahead and continue on and build the project out. But I think the original developer had about 12, 13 million in it. The bank had 11, 12, 13 million in it. And I think we bought it semi-complete, land and improvements for what, $3.5 million. Mm-hmm. And I think we had another $7.5 million to complete it out. And then sales on that were good. Our first sale was, I think, about $450,000. Our last sale was over $1 million. So we hit that right on the money.
Can't imagine what they are today.
Oh, I can't either.
I told you, Fred, that we should have just held it as a build to rent, but
yeah,
next time. And then the next project, Dublin, was another just knock it out of the park kind of deal, where Fred found an older office building and knew that the city was reinvesting in itself, the city of Dublin, to turn that kind of area into the new downtown for Dublin, with a new BART station that would take people straight into San Francisco. And this kind of old office building, you were able to tie up for $10 million on an option, but we only had to give it, it was $10 million for the purchase, but the option fee was only about $1 million something. And like with a 3-year term, then in that time you re-entitled the land to residential from commercial, and the plan was to just sell it once it was entitled to
I
the
think
builder.
we only had to raise what, $2.5 million for that.
I don't even think that much. I think it was less.
And like you said, about $1 million, it was option payment that was applicable to the down payment. The rest was cost of entitlement, planning entitlement. And we turned around. What did we sell that for? 16, $17 million?
20. Your pro forma said we'd sell it for 14 million. We sold it for 20 million to Pulte. Yeah. That was a good deal.
Very good deal.
Yeah. And that came with challenges too. And like literally it was Dublin Challenge Dairy was one of the tenants in that building, that office building that we'd have to tear down to create the finished lots that Pulte wanted to, or the entitlement that Pulte wanted. So you came up with a plan to just take a few of those lots and build them a new building. And that became another syndication where investors made 20%. The Dublin one, they made well over 20% per year. So just some wonderful early projects that we did together. Then there were a couple in Reno. I'm sure many of you were involved in those. Those developments are closed, but we sold half the lots and those are still being built. And Little Lane in Carson City, that is still in progress, close to investment.
And things are picking up with our somewhat new marketing program, and we've got a new one in front of me right now that I'm getting ready to approve. So I think we should be off and running for the summer. So things are looking good.
It's really weird. I'm sitting here in Utah right now at our project here, and same thing. And these are $2 million homes and up. and sales have been pretty brisk. So something's going on, even though rates are still high.
Well, our traffic isn't so much, but all the people that are coming through are potential buyers. I was just talking to the sales team up in Bozeman today, and last week, I think they got 4 or 5 people through, and we did a couple of contracts. The week before that, 4 or 5 people through, we did a couple of contracts. I mean, we're back up to full speed as far as sales goes. In Bozeman, we're doing about 6 a month. That's our capability at this point.
Yeah, it's incredible. So I don't know if the Bozeman one is still your favorite project, but
Well, it is because, um, if you look at it this way, we built 200 lots. We have returned 80% of the investor money, and we have the rest of it will probably go out the next month or two. The investors will be fully paid back, and we still have 450 homes to build and sell, which will go to preferred return and then profit. So, and we're still, our prices have grown from about an average of about a little over 500 to closer to 650, 700,000 average sales price. Our profits have gone up, and will continue to go up. We're still, we keep raising our prices. Now, a lot of it we had to raise, if you recall, because of costs and whatnot. And I say that because plywood went way up, all lumber went way up. Lumber's coming down, but our prices aren't coming down. And they will continue to rise. We're still over $200,000 below the Bozeman proper market. So we still have plenty of range to go. And now we have something to market. We've got 200 homes in place, 2 parks in place, entry monumentation all in place. When people get out there, their first comment is they looked all over downtown Bozeman, couldn't come up with anything very nice. They come out here for half the price. They get something quite substantial. So no, I'm very excited about Bozeman.
yeah, and that was a project you brought to us when Bozeman was not really on the map. It was pre-COVID, and now it is. And that has a lot to do with, I'm sure, Yellowstone, which I'm a big fan of. So, it's like as a builder and developer, your projects are so far out that you have to be able to see the future a little bit. And so somehow you saw the future of Bozeman when pretty much our whole room, we'd have our real wealth events with a room full of hundreds of people, and they're like, why? It'd be like saying, I don't know, some place out in, I want to say Idaho, but that's hot too.
Well, yeah, speaking of Idaho, yeah, Twin Falls is hotter than Bozeman, if you can imagine
Yeah,
that.
right.
I've got property tied up down there. We'll be talking about that someday too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're not in downtown Bozeman. We're in a suburb, if you want to call it, Belgrade, out by the airport. And when we went in there, I don't know if you remember, Kathy, our comps were $235,000, $280,000. Because of our sales out there, we brought the average sales price, the comps up to closer to 500,000, 450, 480, $500,000. And our homes are selling for, like I say, closer to 750, 650, 750.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so let's talk about Klamath Falls. This project is different because we don't have to wait years to, to do all the heavy lifting.
It's
The
different,
building,
yeah.
yeah, I'll just hand the slide over to you because you can tell us about the latest progress.
Yeah, it's different for so many reasons. We didn't have to come up with that down payment for $10 million worth of land. We pay for the land as we take the lots down, as we sell homes. So, but where we are today, Kathy, our new supervisor was put in place a little over 2 weeks ago. We brought in our people to dig foundations, start foundations. So we're in the ground doing foundations right now, trenching and whatnot. And we will do 3 a month is what our goal is, 36 a year. And so we'll have some stick standing when we're up there on tour, but if not, we will have a beautiful sight to see. But yeah, we're in the ground, we're doing foundations. Housing plans have been through plan check, so we're good to go on all of that. We pulled the building permits for the first, I think, about 12 homes. Our engineer is on site, and I say that because all of these foundations are irregular. I think I told you the land's undulating. These are big lots, smallest lots over a half acre. So we have our engineer on site to evaluate anything that has to be done from the foundation standpoint. Site grading foundation will be poured soon. With each lot being irregular, we have an added process of individual foundations. And I'm not talking about the pour so much as I am the trenching for the pour, because typically we pad out all of the lots and we just go in and we do 20 similar foundations. Here we have to do different type of trenching because the site is irregular. So it'll take a little bit longer once we get started, but once we get started, we'll be out in front of ourselves, and we'll never have to worry about that again.
Great.
This is a site map. Because this property had been there for a while, and I think maybe I should go back through the history a little bit. The fellow that we're buying from bought it back in, I think, 2008 from a bank that had taken it back during the recession. The property was, the lots were all built, and he did a small lot sales program and sold any of these lots that don't have numbers on are lots that are already sold to people. Some of them have built their dream home on these lots. Others have not. Interestingly enough, the people that have not are contacting us, would like us to build their home for them. Now, that's not anything we're into doing. We're strictly spec builders. We don't do any building for anybody else. But therein lies the problem, why people don't buy lots, because it's a real cumbersome project for the average person to have to come up with 100% of the lot price, spend another 150,000 at an architect, getting plans done, then go out, hire his own contractor, have the house built together. If he doesn't have all the cash, then he's got to go get construction and take out loan, so on. It's just a lot to deal with. Whereas with us, he walks in, he sees the model, the houses are ready to go, and he just steps up, puts down an earnest money deposit, then a down payment at the closing, and can finance the rest.
Amazing. Okay, anything else about this slide?
No, thank you.
Okay. Did I just go backwards? No.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
So what we're doing right now is we still haven't bid out this entire job. It's relatively new, so we couldn't bid bids until we closed out our fundraising. There was no sense in bidding and going to contract until we were ready to start. So all of the early bids, like foundations, trenching foundations, framing, things like that, are all let. We're still bidding out the rest of it. We'll have all that in place. We're still interviewing for a sales agent. Now we've got it winnowed down to 2 or 3. We have our broker in place. We're just getting ready for a sale to find that salesperson. We want to open for pre-sales sometime in the next 30 days. Our purchase and sale contract, well, we're about to let our marketing contract to Abbey Agency. Now they've given us a proposal, and we're going to go ahead with that. So we'll start marketing this project post haste. Our attorneys are working on our purchase and sale agreement, and I say that it's all done. I've inspected it. Our documents, our builder's agreement, everything was done. They're all out from our attorney up to an Oregon attorney, just to proof everything to make sure we're in compliance with Oregon law.
Okay. All right. So we're going to kind of, well, first I'll take questions in case there's questions from our current investors. If an existing lot owner wants to sell their lot, would you entertain doing it?
Would we buy it? I guess if they'd sell it to us cheap enough, we would buy it. But I mean, they might be interested in doing that and then buying one of our houses. Is that what they're thinking? Probably. Or they could take their lot and put it on the open market and try to sell it either way.
Okay. All right. So once again, as I said, this is this is an offering for accredited investors only. It's a 506c. That's what we're required to do, and that means that either you don't have to meet all this criteria, but either you have a net worth over $1 million, excluding your primary residence, and that would be individually or with a spouse, or you have income over 200,000 individually or 300,000 together with your partner, and that would have to be in each of the prior 2 years, and that you expect that to be the same this year. Or you're an investment professional in good standing holding either a Series 7, Series 65, or Series 82. That qualifies you as an accredited investor, which the SEC monitors. And then why Klamath Falls? Why this area? Again, it is kind of like right across the California border. You can see there.
Yeah, it's only 20 miles north of California, and people are moving to cities like this. That's why we're getting them up in Bozeman. That's why we're getting them in Reno, Nevada. That's why they're getting them in Elko, Nevada, Twin Falls, all over the place. People are leaving the high populated areas for these smaller areas. Klamath Falls has long been a vacation destination. There are retirees moving there. There's no sales tax in Oregon. So it's a place where people can go and live a little bit cheaper. And of course, even real estate is cheaper in Klamath Falls, and substantially cheaper in Klamath Falls than any place in California. Klamath Falls as a city, and I'm not going off this script here, but as a city, they're showing over 2,000 jobs over the next 3 to 5 years. That's exclusive of the air base. The air base, as you know, is they had been training the F-15 pilots there. In other words, it was a Top Gun base. And now they're going to the F-35. They're going to be bringing out new trainers and so on. They themselves met us when we went up to do our reconnaissance on the property and spent probably 3 hours with us, encouraging us to come up there, and that their people, their officers that do the training and that are going to be living there for some time, they come in with equity. The Air Force also provides them with some extra housing money, and they want to buy a house and they want to live there. So the Air Force, even though we talked about our prices and everything, said that yes, they would probably be in a position to take most of our houses. Now we're not counting that by any stretch, but that's one of the growth opportunities out there. Klamath Falls, as up until this point, has seen a population increase of about 1%. Now, that in itself isn't anything great, but it's steady growth. The only new housing they have up there are onesie-twosie housings. When we were doing our comp study, there was nothing really to look at. Comparable lots, and I say comparable lots, every lot out there ranged from $20-some thousand for a lot at the end of some little lane that hadn't been improved or at all, or you'd have to bring in all your utilities, dig a well and septic tank and so on. No paved roads, to $280,000 lots, whatnot. We looked at custom homes. Every custom home that we looked at was in that 6 to $1.2 million range, but they were all pre-sold. No model complex or anything. They do about 180 to 160 permits a year they pull for homes, and everything sells. I think a lot of people would be concerned about the comp market, and those are typically resales. And if you look at the comp market, these are little old homes, and the average resale value is about $280,000, much like it was in Belgrade when we went into Belgrade. It's not your new home buyer up there, though. And I think we can do well. We're looking for 3 homes a month, 36 homes a year. We think that we have I was looking at the Abbey Agency report, and they've got family haven hunters. People are looking for a place to build a nice home for their family. These people are coming from California and Washington. They have an average income in excess of $250,000. Second home seekers, they're coming from California, Arizona, Washington, and they average at $207,000. City escapees, this is coming in from across the nation, people who want to get out of the town that they're in into a smaller, safer environment. The military, of course, we talked about that. Move up buyers, in other words, the local buyer in that town that has had no place to move up to, now will have a steady stream of homes. Retirees, and of course, we see a lot of Californians coming into every market that we look at. It doesn't matter whether you're in Las Vegas or Reno, whether you're up in Twin Falls or Boise, whether you're up in Oregon. California retirees, they take their pensions and they sell their house for millions. They go across the state line, buy a nicer house for half the price, and live happily thereafter. And then, of course, the new jobs that I was talking about, some 2,000 new jobs over the next 3 to 5 years. So we think there's a market there for this product.
Okay, we got a couple questions. Can you explain more the issues with the foundations?
So typically we would go into an absolute flat lot and we would just dig the footings, pour the foundations, and start building the houses. We have more grading to do here because the lots are irregular. So most every lot is going to have a high point and a low point. We go back into the kind of the center of the lot. We're pulling the house back, and we take whatever's there, and that's where we go ahead and we do our foundation. So if it's got a high spot, we might lower that high spot and raise, if it's a little grady, they're going downhill, we might raise the low spot, pad that out, and then we'd go ahead and put the foundation in. So just a little extra grading. That's the cheapest way to go. That way the foundation stays consistent, and the only cost differential will be in the grading. And we have we put a grading cost in that average for those lots that are very little to no grading to those that are extensive grading. We took that average, and that's what we put down for our grading cost, foundation cost.
Okay. 36 homes a year. I know you already went over this, but this is the question. How many homes total are you planning? And how do you expect to get that done in a small town?
Well, we have 156 lots in total that we'll be taking down, and we want to do it 36 homes a year or 3 homes a month over the next almost 5 years.
Okay. And in a small town like that, that sounds like possibly a lot.
Well, that's what I was telling you. Without us being there, they're already pulling 100 or anywhere from 80 to 130 permits a year. They're already doing that. We're going to be cheaper because we're the only production builder up there. Everybody else is doing onesie, twosie. Nobody can compare with the lot that we have for the price we paid for the lot. We're paying $60,000 a lot. We're not paying for it until we sell the house. And you couldn't finish a lot like that. In other words, put road, sewer, water and everything in the street, the utilities and whatnot for $60,000. These are half-acre plus lots. It could cost up to $90,000 to $115,000 just to finish a lot like that. Plus you'd have land cost over and above it.
Okay. I think you've got people wanting to move there. It sounds so beautiful.
Well, it's interesting because we took some contractors up from California, from Sacramento, to bid the job, and the guy just said, "I'll move up here and rent it myself," the owner of the company. So, yeah, it's pretty nice. It's very nice.
I'm excited for the tour because it is it's important to go see it, and it's for a lot of people it sounds like it's out in the boonies, and it is, but
it's a small town. Yeah, it's a small town, and then in the next small towns or the next towns around it would be going south into California to Redding, going north to Bend, Oregon, which is a fantastic town. At Bedford to the west, which is another fantastic town. But this is a small town, but it's high desert. I mean, people are looking for that type of climate.
Yeah. Okay, another question. Somebody who's a listener of On the Market. Yay, thank you. Curious how much funding we're looking for. Well, we're in the second phase now. We raised $4 million to get the project started, and then now it's an additional $4 million, $8 million total. Fred, you put in like $500,000 of your own, I believe, something like that.
Well, yeah, I like it, and I just, so I'm either 10 or 10 and a half units. I can't remember what, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it was a $10 million raise, but you found a way to
Well,
not have to raise that much.
when I was first putting the numbers together, I came to you, Kathy, and that was my first cut. But as we got into it, because it's unique, we don't need the money for the lots. We don't need that money for site improvements, and we don't have to keep pushing it forward. In other words, needing additional money to carry to keep while we're pushing it forward. So we're able to cut it back to an $8 million raise.
Yeah, which is better for everyone.
Yes.
All right. Business plan. Again, it's pretty simple, but maybe not because we haven't explained it to anyone new. But Fred has done another fabulous negotiation with the seller who has had this project since, what did you say, 2008, 9?
He bought it in 2008 during the recession, yes.
So he got a good deal on it. He thought he could develop it. Developing is not easy. And I don't know the whole story, but he's a farmer and maybe just wants to get back to farming.
Well, that's right. He's a California farmer and he's got a lot going on. I mean, it turns out when I first met him, I didn't fully understand how big a farmer he is, but very substantial. And he's got a lot of new programs going on. I think he was talking about garlic and putting up a garlic plant and just all kinds of stuff. So this is small potatoes to him, and yet he wanted to see it done. He wanted to see it done right. So when we got the call from Klamath Falls to come up, they needed housing up there. He was standing there, one of the potential landowners standing there saying, come look at my property. When we got over there, we fell in love with it. And we made him an offer. We didn't know whether it would go together, but it in fact did. And so we're excited about it. But what we have is an option agreement to purchase 156 lots. These lots are finished and we're going to take them down over the next 5 years. Our option agreement is good for 5 years. We gave him an option payment of, I think, of $1,020,000. And that is not just for the option payment. It's fully applicable to the last 17 lots. So those lots come across to us at the back end. The rest of the lots we pay for as we sell homes. So what we'll do is we'll build the house. Typically in our developments, a buyer comes in while we're building the house, usually picks his upgrades, maybe cabinets, maybe flooring, things like that, and then closes. Well, at the time of close, about 2 days before we close, we'll give the seller his $60,000 for the lot. We'll have a double escrow. I mean, we'll close on it and close with our buyer basically at the same time. We pay $60,000 for finished lot for the first 139 lots paid. At the time the homes are sold, the last 17 lots, like I said, will be signed over to us once we complete the obligation on the first 139. In this, we have a preferred return for the investors of 12.5% a year, plus they get 25% of the profits. Time frame, we're estimating it'll take us we got 5+ years, so around 5 years. If things pick up, we're capable of doubling that production. We could go to 6 houses a month. So it's just subject to the buying public. We think that we can safely count on 3 homes a month up there.
So there's a few things you said that I want to make sure people heard because I think it's fascinating. Number one is that Klamath Falls called you because they need more housing. So that's huge. And you looked at a lot of different parcels and they were okay, but not anywhere close to this, but you got a better deal on this than you would have on those. And it's superior.
Well, there was one other nice development up there, but compared to this site, I would say it would be inferior. And of course, they wanted market rate for the lots, and that's not how we go. And I don't blame them. It was a very nice development, but it's the lot sales program up there that they have. We're going to have homes to sell, and we have big lots, and like I say, irregular terrain, heavily treed. A lot of the lots have views of the lake. Meandering roads. It just feels like country. And then 5 minutes away from this development is this little cute boutique town of Klamath Falls. You know, it's just everything's just perfect, picture perfect.
Love it. Okay. Um, let's see. And did you already say why Klamath Falls called you? Is they saw the Reno project or?
No, so what they've got is they've got all this new business coming into town. And they showed us on the books, you know, all these small businesses getting ready to build their new factories or new plants and things like that. Their housing is the thing that all these people were crying for. And then at the same time that they came out to us, or just before that, the Air Force Base just signed a new contract for the F-35. And the part of the contract was they had to have new housing. So they were getting beat up by the U.S. military to get builders in there, attract builders. And of course, they saw our project, our Reno project, matter of fact, Meridian 120 online, and that's what prompted them to call us, the old Meridian 120 website.
Great.
That's
Okay.
Argos and Quest.
That's so Quest. Okay. Yeah.
Argos and Quest, yeah. Meridian 120 is the development, but Argos and Quest were the products that we built.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to look at more questions. What is the time frame for investment, and can I invest using a self-directed IRA? Time frame is it will close when the money's in, so I don't know the end date, but the official end date for the raise, I think
September something, September 15th or September 30th.
yeah.
That's the very end
In the
date.
documents and just go ahead and put it in the notes or text me the exact date, but it's just sometime in September when it closes.
But I think you're right that at this point we need less than $4 million to get to the $10 million mark, and then we close it down. So it's first come, first serve at this point.
And your last project sold out in one webinar, so yeah, I can't really tell you how much time you have, but the sooner the better. And self-directed IRA, absolutely. The one thing I would suggest is make sure you bring the documents, the PPM and the operating agreement to your CPA to see if there's any impact for you. There could potentially be UBIT tax, so just talk to your CPA. All right.
This picture shows the entrance, and it starts there. There's a gatehouse, so you're going to be living in a gated community. Beautiful entrance, and then you can see what they're going into, that forest with the lake right over the hill from the top of that hill there, you see.
And Brenda just made a comment. Hi, Brenda. She lives in Oregon, and she said the Rogue River Highway and rafting and jet boating and proximity to high cascade lakes like Crater Lake are a selling feature too. Looking forward to checking out this development on the tour. Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were going. I'm so excited. I'll see you then.
And that's true. When I was looking at people that come to Klamath Falls, Crater Lake was one of the big reasons. And of course, I've been on the Rogue River several times myself. Love it.
That's great. You may go over this later, so if you plan to disregard, but when do you plan to start distributions, or will payout be more towards the end of the time frame? We are going to go over it, but we can answer it.
Yeah, so this is a little different than most. As you know, Kathy, in our previous developments, we'll raise 10, 12, 14, 16 million dollars. We'll buy the land, we'll go ahead and put the site improvements in, we'll start building the homes. But then when as we sell the homes, we have to save all of that money to do the next phase and the next phase. And so we're out several phases or several years before we start a return of capital. In this particular case, it's when we get the first house built, every house we sell, we make a profit because we're not pushing the money forward. So we'll take that profit and start returning capital in probably about month 8. And if they look at the cash flow, it's just a projection, but we're showing 3 houses a month, and how it would come back at about $300,000 a month until the capital is paid down, then the preferred return. And then after that, someplace after that, we get all of the money back on every house we sell, because the last 17 lots are all paid for, plus we still have the original investment. We paid it all back through profits. Now we still have the original investment. So all that'll be coming back over the last 5 or 6 months.
Okay. How many models are going to be built?
So we have the ability to do 4 models. We're going to go with 2 models, Plan 1 and Plan 3. And we'll have exceptional floor plans and visuals and everything for the rest of the houses. But we will have houses under construction. It's interesting to me, up in Bozeman, we have 12 models, as you know, and probably somewhat expensive. But it's when I'm up there, I notice the salespeople selling a house. So they're down there walking through a Plan 4 that's partially constructed, or they're walking through a Plan 1 or 2, you know what I'm saying, of a Morgan or an Appaloosa or something. People want to get into their house as soon as they can. So we're going to try it with 2 models. If we have to, we can come right back and build 2 more, but we'll be opening up with 2 models.
Great.
The initial sales office will be at the gatehouse. As soon as we get the model done, we'll move it up to one of the models.
Great. Yeah, UBIT was my next question. Thanks for addressing. Yeah, just UBIT affects people differently. You may have, that's unrelated business income tax when you invest in an active business in your IRA, but it affects people differently, and some won't feel it at all and some will. So just talk to your CPA for sure. All right, and what would be the price range for the houses? That will be on slides, but you want me to
Yeah,
get
that'll
to
be on slides, but yeah, I can.
pull it up. Here's just some more pictures of the land. It's really beautiful.
Isn't it? It is.
Yeah. Amazing that you didn't have to put these roads in.
Yeah, and you're, like I say, you're 5 minutes from downtown. Very little town, but very nice town.
Sounds like it's growing though.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we talked about this already, that the comps weren't as good as these lots, and these are at a better price. Comparable lot prices range from 29,000 to 185,000.
Yeah, they just didn't have anything like this at all. I mean, a finished lot up there would be about 185,000 if it was halfway decent. And then, like I say, some of these other lots we looked at were just mud holes out down some dirt road, you know. It's just not, there just aren't any builders or developers up there doing anything.
Okay.
Let's see, the average selling price, but we have the houses selling from 590 to 717 was what we were projecting for this development. Now, when we open up, we'll be more, we can come back and tell everybody again, because it hardly ever is the same, but they'll probably be somewhat higher than that.
And while that's higher for the area, that is just like nothing for a Californian. So, you know, all these Californians looking for a different place to live out in nature could pay cash, right?
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, the buyer profile for Reno, Nevada is still Californian. And when we opened up Argos, we were selling our big house for probably $650. We sold our last one for probably close to $1 million. That house up there now is selling for about $1.8 million. And they're all California buyers. They're buying the resales even.
Really?
Yeah.
That high?
Yeah.
I told you we should hold these. Our next one needs to be a build to rent. All right.
But you know, large builders, of course, people with a lot of money are doing exactly that. They're building, they're holding them for 10 years, and then they're selling. And of course, one of the reasons they do that is it gets rid of all of the OSEP insurance. They don't need to carry any of that, which is a big number. That's the builder's risk, the RAP policy. And so they get rid of that in total because there's nobody coming back on them. We pay the big premium. We've never had a builder's risk claim ever in the years I've been in business. So,
wow. Okay, so the plan, of course, is these are higher end homes with premium finishes. Like in Bozeman, there are no national builders in the area. We're the only production builder in the market. We plan to build a revised and improved version of the homes we're building on our 6,000 square foot lots in Prescott. And this new product will have 3-car garages and the opportunity to add an ADU above or optional detached 2-car garage.
Right. So that 6,000 square foot lot product that we have in Bozeman seems to be our most popular. And what we've done is we've improved on it for this development. Our plan 3, we bumped it out a little bit in the back, put a dining area off the back, as opposed to off the kitchen in the back, as opposed to in line with the kitchen and living room. The house, we bumped the upstairs out 2 feet, so the bonus room is 2 feet wider. The bedrooms are 2 feet bigger. So very little cost in getting it to this look, and yet that house has been a great house. All of the houses up there have been in great demand. Now it's even better. And because we have the big lots, we can go with a 2-car garage, or we can go with a 3-car garage, and we can go with the bonus room on the 2-story houses. And then we have an additional option if they want to go with an additional detached garage, for their snowmobiles. They're all these people up in these towns have rafts, boats, snowmobiles, campers, things like that. So they could add this additional garage, and they could do an ADU above it if they want. So we'll have options all over the place.
Great. Here's some
This
samples.
is the basic plans. And then of course, we have 3-car garage proposals for all of them.
You already said a lot of this. While not a fast growing market, 80 to 120 home building permits are pulled per year anyway.
Right.
I've got the superior lots, the best development in the area with a superior product to anyone else. Through a multimedia campaign development by Abbey Agency, we'll target buyers in California, Washington, Idaho, and Arizona.
And there's no builder up there that we're afraid of. I mean, nobody can build a house comparable to ours with the finishes that we'll have in ours for the price that we will have. So if our house is $700,000, it would cost them $900 to provide the same thing.
Yeah, wow. Okay, the comps are around 330. So this is definitely a higher priced for the area.
Right. So a very small new home on a very small lot, we saw at 330,000. We saw comps up there, $1.2 million for a nice home, 950,000, 600 and some thousand. None of them, other than the $1.2 million, would even have compared with ours. And this is the one that you're looking at, is the $1.2 million. And in size, it's comparable to ours. They have stone on the front, which makes it look very nice. They have a 3-car garage, which is very nice. The functional utility inside wasn't that great, and the finishes, the fit and finish, was nowhere near ours.
Okay. So again, a minimum investment is 1 unit, which is $50,000. Total offering $10,000, but we've reduced it to 8. Minimum raise is $4 million, which we've already done in the first tranche, and now we're raising the second. Open to accredited investors only. Use of proceeds, investor funds will be used primarily, well, we already said this, to create the model homes, to finance the construction of the initial 18 houses on the property, and to pay for the costs associated with putting together the PPM and purchase price, the option agreement, maintenance, design, architectural, engineering, insurance, construction of the model home complexes in the initial home. That's where the money's going. And it's like Fred said, as soon as those homes sell, you can start distributing, right?
Right. And every home, every sale, we can distribute money, and we plan to distribute. There's not so many people in this, and we're setting up now so that we can distribute basically every month once we have the cash in. So we'll start distributing right from the get-go. So theoretically, people start getting their money back in probably 9 months.
Amazing. Okay, this is a little hard to read. I don't know if you can read it, but These different columns, it says at the top, the product, number of units, lot size. And as you go to the right, these are the different models and the square footage per model.
Right. So we're going to build 39 of the small product, 39 of the second plan 2, 39 of plan 3, and 39 of the plan 4. And this is our direct building cost underneath it, the square footage, the direct building cost, and so on and so forth. So they can take it down on any model. They can see what our sales price is going to be. And below that, in the next slide, it'll have our cost for each one of these models. And there's our cost.
Different models. Yep.
And the reason I put the land in it, we're buying the land for $60,000, but the cost of setup and everything, I stuck in the land. So I put the land basis in at $63,205 to put that upfront cost in there, spread it over the lots.
So those are the costs. And then
these are still costs. This is the sales and marketing commission costs and direct overhead, G&A, and so on. And then there's the builder profit, the bottom line on a per house.
Per house with a total 17 million.
Right.
Yeah. So on Fred's projects, he likes lots of profit. So there has to be a lot of cushion. And, you know, you're looking at an $8 million raise with the $17 million profit.
Well, there's another thing. I mean, somebody might say that $100,000 a house is an exceptionally large profit. But if you think the way we're buying a $200,000 lot for $60,000, you go up to Bozeman, people are paying $150,000 to $200,000 for a finished lot, for a small finished lot in Bozeman, Montana. Our cost to buy that, our land cost was like $5,000 per lot. It cost us $45,000 to finish them. So we're in our land cost $50,000, you know. So to be making 100 or something on a house is not exorbitant when in fact our land cost is so low. And like I say, we still have room that we can kick everything up if we felt we wanted to. I just want to keep moving along at 6 a month, and then if we have a lot of heat, we'll kick the price again. You know what I mean? And yeah. Bozeman started out, I think I told you we were making about 80,000 on our small Morgan product per house. We were making about 100,000 on our Appaloosa, and we were making about 120 on the I can't think of the name of the Lusitano models. And now we're making over 100,000 on the Morgans. We're making about 120,000 a house on the Appaloosa, and on the about 150,000, maybe a little bit more than that in the Lusitano. So it always creeps, but I think we're going to be in this market very favorable.
Yeah, it's amazing considering costs have gone up so much, but prices have too.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's the pro forma with the investor. Now, the way the preferred return works, just for anyone unfamiliar with that.
Go to the next pro forma, because this is on the $10 million raise.
That's 10 million. We don't need to see that.
Yeah, we're using the 8 million. That's it.
It's right better there with the 8 million.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the way we structure our syndications is different than, I think, from what I've seen out there. And it started with me 15 years ago, not really knowing what a syndication was and kind of learning as we went. Fred had done them before, but then for decades he didn't need to because bank money was so easy, and then the collapse happened, and then bank money was hard to get, so it was back to syndicating. And since I didn't know how to do it, I didn't know anyone who did do it, we just kind of came up with terms that made sense to me. And at the time, maybe it didn't make sense later, because I was like, we're not charging any fees, and investors are going to get all their money and a 12% return before we get anything. And that we've kind of kept it that way, where we obviously have learned that, oh, we run businesses here and we have payroll and people, you know, that work, so we have to charge some fees, but they're reasonable. And then we still offer the preferred return that's much higher than others, because it's a development project, which tend to be riskier, although this one comes with much lower risk because the big risk of development has already been handled. It's already, the land is already developed. We just have to build the houses. So it's a 12.5% preferred return, which means that as money flows, as houses sell and the profits distributed, the first profit goes straight to investors to pay your capital back. Then as more houses sell, the profit goes straight to investors until you get your 12% preferred return. It's preferred, meaning you get it before we do. You have preference. And that's per year. Let people ask that question, is that like total? No, it's per year that you're in it. Once you've got your capital back and your 12%, then we get our profit split. So our splits look weird because you've got other companies that are doing 80-20 with 80 to the investor, but they have a low pref. So we're kind of giving you the money up front, and then we get more on the back, if that makes sense.
Well,
so, yeah.
And a lot of them, like I say, they'll give an 8% preferred return, and then they'll give some, then they will take out, the builder or developer will take out a portion till they get to a certain
They
return.
do the catch up. Yeah, then they take 8%. Yeah, and then so it's not really a pref.
And we put ourselves behind a 12.5% preferred return, and then we split pro rata after that. And so I think, and Kathy, I mean, there's always a chance. We've never had an opportunity or an investment where all the investors haven't got their money back and huge preferred returns. There's been a project that you and I didn't make any money, but our investors got all their money back in a huge. With us being at the back end, we're the ones that are really taking the big risk. In this particular project, somebody asked me, I think the first time we had a webinar, what happens if we find out the market's not that deep and we can't sell? Well, we're going to build 18 homes, and we will sell 18 homes, even if it takes us a little bit longer. But if we decided to pull the plug after 18 homes, I mean, we've still made we got our money back, all our investment back, plus we've made money. So our investors will get their money back and probably a preferred return, some preferred return on that. If we quit after 18, it's just, that's how secure it is.
It's really low, one of our lower risk projects. So that's exciting, but it's more risky to us in the sense of, let's say we had another, God forbid, we had another COVID or something like that, where the world shuts down and we can't work, and the project takes longer, or there's a war, whatever. Let's not put that out in the universe. But if that happens, that really hurts us, because the longer the project takes, the less we make, because we're still paying. It's like we're paying you that 12%. It's not a loan; it comes out of profits, but you get it first. So
Exactly.
I like structuring it this way because it keeps us on our toes, because we need to get it done. The faster we get this thing done, the better it is for us. And I hope that gives investors some, peace of mind. Questions. How far is a medical facility from the development, like a hospital or urgent care?
Well, they have something right downtown. I'm sorry, that might be something they might want to go online and check. But I did ask the question, and they have facilities right in town. I didn't check to see how many bed it was or anything like that. I know Medford, which is probably an hour's drive away, has good facilities, but I do know they have a hospital there. That was one of the sources for buyers, was their growth to the hospital, the constant demand for doctors.
Okay, we'll come back with more information on how many and where and so forth. What is the square footage on the smallest home? Are there any single-story homes, or are they all two-story? I think this is someone who wants to move there.
Yeah. So we have two of our models are one stories, and each model will have 3 different elevations, and 2 of them are 2-story, and again, each model will have 3 elevations, and then they'll have bonus rooms and things like that.
How much and how often do you typically raise prices when you're building?
So we release houses every month. So in this particular case, we'll be releasing 3 a month. I'll talk about what's going on up in Bozeman, because it's happening now. We release 6 homes a month. Every month, there's a new pricing and it has to do with if we release all 6 houses and they're gone in the first 2 or 3 weeks, when we release the next 6 houses, there will be a little bit of a price increase. It might be anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. And of course, it does a number of things. Yes, it keeps driving prices up, but it holds people in contract because right away, in the 5 or 6 months it takes us to build their house, they've built anywhere from $12,000 to $30,000 in equity.
Mm-hmm.
And we ourselves are experiencing price increases every day from somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Well, anything you want to say about this slide that is I cannot read?
That's showing the $8 million. I can't read it either, but I think it is. But this gives you an idea of, we raise $8 million. Once we start construction, about 8 months from that time, it takes us 6 months to build a house. The reason I put 8 in there is because it's always a little bit troublesome getting off the ground the first 2 months. But we start closing houses, and once we start closing houses, if we're closing 3 a month, 300,000 would be coming back to our investors, so they can see the outstanding capital at any one time, the amount of capital going back to them, 300,000 a month, and over in the far right hand column, they can see the preferred return accumulating and then eventually starting to get paid down as after the capital is paid down. And then at the back end, it becomes profits. After all the preferred return is profit. So it's just a cash flow. It may or may not be anything that they're interested in. I do it just to kind of see how this is going to pay out, and so we can talk about it a little bit. But
Okay. Brenda, thank you. She said there's a local hospital, and Medford has a large hospital about an hour and 20 minutes away. Bend, Oregon has a hospital facility about 2 hours away. Are you able to build homes all year, or are there weather related limitations?
we'll be building homes all year long. I mean, just like we do up in Montana, come October, we'll pour enough foundations to get us through the winter. And then we will continue to build homes all year round.
Okay. All right. So the timeline, capital raise started in November. It ends in the fall. Construction began June of 2024, and the whole time is 5 years, but we plan to start returning capital in a year.
In a year.
I'm going to say year. You're saying 8 months.
I know. Yeah.
I love the confidence though, but I'm still going to say a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Distributions. Proceeds from the early home sales will be reinvested to finance the construction of additional homes on the property.
Well, that was kind of taken out of, I think, old, but yeah, we will take most of it and build more homes with it, but we will take out the profit portion of it and distribute it back to as a return of capital to our investors.
So you're just going to keep recycling the initial capital, but the profit, right, all the profit from the properties goes out as distribution.
Right. Instead of setting aside the properties to do site improvements down the road, phase 2 site improvements and things like that, we will initially right away start giving it back.
And I explained this earlier. First, profit goes to pay back your capital. Second, the 12.5% preferred return, and then finally the split where we get our portion and you still get a 25% of profit. Fees that let's see, Bates, and this is all in the PPM too. Bates Properties Reno Inc., managed by Fred Bates, and then Fred Bates Jr., your son, who's the builder, and Grow Management RidgeWater LLC, managed by me. Managers will be reimbursed on expenses, of course, including professional fees, legal fees. Bates Properties will receive an assignment fee of $500,000 for assigning the option to the company. Grow Management will receive $50,000 for the startup fees and costs. Bates Properties, Reno, and Grow Management will receive management fee capped at 2% of total gross revenue they receive monthly. they may receive monthly advances on this fee prior to the sale, and Grow Management will receive $1,000 per home or lot sold. Fred Bates Jr. will receive a monthly fee to cover construction and site overhead, capped at 3% of total gross. Grow Management or affiliate will receive $1,000 per subscription agreement for our staff for doing that. And BPR, Grow Development, Fred Bates will also receive profit share as described in the PPM. Okay. So risks, there's always risk. There's always risk. But supply chain issue, a lot of that is hopefully behind us, but it's always a risk. Construction delays, enforcement of the option agreement, which shouldn't be an issue because it's pretty tight, legally tight.
The attorneys looked it over and said that there's
no way out.
No place. Yeah, I mean, it would be very expensive on his part to even slow us down, because time is money. So, yeah.
Changing economic circumstances, illiquid investment, changes in market conditions such that homes do not sell as quickly, lack of qualified buyers such that homes do not sell as quickly, and reliance on key personnel. Let's talk about that because, something could happen to the two of us. And so then what?
You're saying I'm old again.
No, I'm saying I'm old.
So I've told you, you've got a regular organization there now at this point. I mean, that we're dealing with, you've got people in every position that we deal with. So from your standpoint, I don't think there's any risk at all. And from my standpoint, I'm probably the biggest risk because of my age. But at the same time, our general contractor, who happens to be my son, and these aren't young people. He's 56. Our chief financial officer in there he's 57. My chief financial officer is 58. These are older people. They're just young to me, but they handle the day-to-day on all of our construction projects that are going on right now, and are up to speed on everything from the development standpoint, which I primarily handle. So they're getting work in on everything. Things would progress just as they are today. And Fred will be on the tour, so people on the tour will get to meet Freddie if they haven't met him already. And
good.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, reporting. We will be reporting on construction progress. As you know, I'd love to do the webinars to bring Fred in because he says a lot in the updates, but you say even more in these webinars. So I love it. But we'll be updating on the progress, status of the development, quarterly unaudited financials, and information reasonably necessary for the preparation of the K1s, other such periodic reporting as provided in the operating agreement. Okay, is there a Walmart or Costco nearby?
Oh boy, I don't know that for a fact.
That's probably a question because where they go, there's growth. If Walmart and Costco are putting their business there, we'll check. Somebody said this has been wonderful. I will be investing. Thank you, Kathy and Fred, for all the info and answers to our questions. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I hope you go on the tour.
Come on the tour. It's gonna be fun.
I've never had a piece of property this beautiful.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm sitting here in Park City, so I don't know. Well, we'll see. I look forward to seeing everyone there. All right. Oh, there's one more. Oh, yes, Walmart. Yes, Costco in Medford. Look at that. Brenda, what would I do without you? Klamath Falls Supercenter, Walmart Supercenter, 3600 Washburn Way. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thanks for staying more than an hour. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.